episode Climatiqueen was released, and it was a bit surprising because the trailer for the episode wasn't released until after the premiere, but the truth is that it was much better than I thought. The episode begins with showing us Adrien, who has opened a TikTok-like social media platform on his smartphone, and we see different characters uploading things on social media. And in this application, people are divided into communities. SND, now we can see that Chloe in her community is basically creating a kind of contest where the one with the most views will grant a wish. But that's not the interesting part. What's interesting is that Chloe basically updates the things she's done because at some point she says, "I'll grant any wish, including letting you participate in my movie." Listen, the truth is, I was really surprised that we're hearing something like this. Because even though Thomas Astruc theoretically hates Chloe's character, he's still giving her lore and development within the same fiction, and I wonder if we'll see more of her at some point. Continuing with what we saw in the episode, one of the things that surprised me is that the confrontation between Gabriel and Monarch continues to be mentioned on social media, and well, this has basically generated repercussions. And this is a very important topic because I want you to see how Adrien's room is. Adrien's room reflects Adrien's inner emotional world, and after Gabriel's death, he tries to live his new life, but at the same time, he is still struggling with the death of his father, and more or less like every teenager, he is searching for his own identity. And this is basically the aftermath of what happened to his dad. Now, imagine if he's already depressed, sad, and brooding. Imagine now that he finds out that his dad was Monarch and that his girlfriend lied to him. I mean, we have to be consistent. Adrien doesn't have the emotional capacity to manage these kinds of emotions. At the very beginning of the episode, we have a shot of Marinette where she's writing to Adrien, which is a filler scene, but the most important thing here is when Adrien is making the pancakes, and it's that Adrien is already saying from the start, "Hey, I don't know how to make pancakes like my dad's. I don't make them the same as my dad's," implying that he misses him. But not only that, but when he has the conversation with Natalie, Adrien says to Natalie, "Hey, Natalie, what's the plan for today?" And she says, "Well, there's no plan. I'm not going to impose anything on you anymore. You can do whatever you want." And Adrien answers something very strange. Adrien answers, "What does it mean to do whatever I want?" Implying that he literally doesn't know what it's like to be free. He doesn't know what it's like to make your own decisions. That really moved me because it's telling me that Adrien doesn't know how to be a normal person. It made me feel so sorry to see Adrien handle his emotions. Well, how would we handle them? Let's move on to the next scene. Marinette is trying to enter the Agreste house, which is blocked by a group of journalists. Now, many people aren't sure if this episode really is the first episode, or if it's an episode that comes after the episode, Revelator, later on. I'm going to explain why I'm saying that. Well, Marinette goes to Adrien's house, and they greet each other, they give each other a little kiss, and when they're on the motorcycle, when they're going to school, Marinette seems to tell him that he should focus on one of his passions. And this is where we understand that Adrien apparently doesn't have any passion. I mean, he doesn't have anything that he's passionate about enough to continue, like to do in his life. And this is something very strange. Even Marinette finds it strange and has to explain what the definition of a passion is. And that's what the whole episode is about. Marinette trying to teach Adrien what his purpose is, what he's passionate about. And, well, we'll see what the consequences are. Then the episode introduces us to a character who we already know is Aurora, who's kind of sad because she's looking at her social media account. Certain people are successful on social media, and how some people are having more success in the contest than her. And we meet a new character named Agley, and you should keep an eye on this character because a lot of people are saying that this character could be Lila in disguise. I don't know. But a lot of people have even posted pictures of her and Sarah side by side and say that they are the same person. I'm not really convinced by this idea, but it could be. You know, it's miraculous. Anything can happen. Apparently this character is a very good friend of Aurora, and she's trying to cheer her up. And basically she's like, "Hey, don't feel sad, don't feel bad, because you could be akumatized." Aurora explains that she wants to win the contest to win an autograph for a book, which is created by Max's mom. Aurora's problem is that she tried to get attention by copying other people's videos. Before moving on to the next scene, I want to show you something that seemed very strange to me. When Adrien and Marinette are arriving at school, literally out of the garbage comes this guy. The guy is Vincent that we saw in the episode Revelator. Now the question is this episode before or after Revelator? Many people believe that this episode is before Revelator because they're just now explaining the community thing within. That application, because in the episode Revelator, it's already assumed that people know what it means if your profile has the image of a bee or a fox. And many people believe that this episode could be after the episode Revelator because, well, Vincent appears, and I'm going to show you the list of people participating in this event. Vincent appears as the 99th character. Saying this implies that Vincent has already been exposed as the liar that he is, and that's why they put him in the 99th spot. Now, I don't know, what do you think? I'd rather say that this would be like Vincent's first steps, where he's just entering the world of social media, and just like Aurora, he realized that the only way to be successful on this app is by talking about morbidity and gossip, of course, as long as you don't have a special ability like Girl, who's in first place. Aurora saw that what she was doing worked and copied her. Now, before we continue, I want to show you who's in first place right now. The boy who appears in the first place is Ray, which means he's very active in Chloe's community. Therefore, it could be that Chloe sent him to bother Zoe at her new school. He's like one of her spies. This is a theory that's being thrown around a lot right now in the fandom. In fact, I also think he could be related to Chloe. Now, moving on to the next scenes, we can see many moments where Marinette and Adrien are trying to find Adrien's passion. After trying things that Marinette likes, such as painting, they try activities that Marinette doesn't like, such as reciting poems. We get a glimpse of Aurora spying on them because basically what Aurora does is something very similar to what Vincent does. Therefore, it would be the second episode that deals with problems with influencers. Basically, she takes a picture of Marinette and Adrien and takes it out of context to get more attention. She meets the girl who is currently in first place and is akumatized after the meeting because she is frustrated that she hasn't been able to reach first place yet, and this is where Lila clearly takes advantage of her vulnerability, and she is akumatized into Climatiqueen. The animation looks incredible, even though the episode is kind of a rehash of Stormy Weather. They really showed off with the animation. In fact, I think it's the one that has the most polished animation in the series, and I think that's why they didn't release the episode until so long. Sometime later, here we can see that Agli is obviously worried about her friend and shares her concern with the group. Important note, at this point, I want to pause. Many people believe that this scene is the reason why the episode Climatiqueen comes out after Revelator. It is because the new character Agli already seems to be included in the group, it seems, that she already knew them all, even though, for example, in the episode Daddy Cop Sabrina is getting to know the group, and at no point do we see Algie. However, here it seems like she already knows everyone, so it's interesting. Also, a lot of people on Twitter have commented on Ondin's glow-up, and the truth is, she did have a big glow-up. Literally, Agli is sharing her fear, her concern that her friend Aurora will be akumatized, or that she's sad, and Kim decides to make a joke about it. I feel like with Kim, it's 100% a redesign. The next thing we can see is that the girls are obviously worried, but they try to calm Algie down, but here it's ironic because just when they're trying to calm her down, Climatiqueen appears. Now Adrien and Marinette take Algie to a safe place, although I don't think Climatiqueen would hurt her. Marinette and Adrien look for excuses to transform, and we literally see a recreation of the Stormy Weather episode. I literally got flashbacks to when I first saw Miraculous Ladybug. It was very nostalgic. I fell in love with Miraculous Ladybug because of this episode, and we even got a little Lady Noir shipping scene. Ladybug and Cat Noir call Max for help, and we get a whole Pegasus transformation scene. I'm actually not a huge Pegasus fan, but I enjoy every transformation scene. Climatiqueen manages to win Chloe's contest, but is stopped by our heroes at the end. Interestingly, Aurora later even receives a like from Max's mother, her idol, when she returns to her real passion, weather phenomena. She is now part of the Ladybug community on social media. Marinette and Adrien say their goodbyes, and when Adrien arrives home, he decides to go for a quick jog. There he meets Sublime running beside him. Sublime is introduced with somewhat sinister background music, which suggests that Climatiqueen is first in the episode's order, or at least takes place before the episode's sublimation, since Sublime is introduced as mysterious or even a villain. I've linked my review of the episode Sublimation above, so you can see what Sublime is all about. You can also subscribe to my channel so you don't miss any more news and reviews. See you next time!